UNLV and the University of Memphis schedule a home football series in a huge group of 5 matchup that could have major college football playoff implications. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the transfer portal. This is the Let's Run podcast. Everybody, welcome to the show today. Grateful to have you. Awesome news, great things to talk about. Really exciting times for the channel. I appreciate all of you for checking out the videos. The live streams have been going really well post UNLV games, and I appreciate all of you that joined me on those. If you are new here, please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow me on Twitter as we talk about all things college football, college sports, and really just everything, the craziness that is the evolving world of college sports. So let's start out with this story. We find out this morning that UNLV football and Memphis football have scheduled a home matchup. Now, UNLV and Memphis both had an open spot on their schedule for this coming year, 2026. Now, UNLV does not have an FCS game on the schedule next season. And so a lot of people had kind of assumed that UNLV would just kind of schedule a cupcake type game. Those games are easy wins for the program. They help boost the win total and can be good practice for a program that really needs it, especially early on in the season. But UNLV football did not go that route at all. Instead, they decided to schedule another top group of 5 program, arguably one of the top group of 5 programs in something that I think is just incredible. Memphis last season, obviously they lost their coach, Ryan Silverfield. And, you know, that's a program that is rebuilding a little bit. But I think that Memphis football has a heck of a schedule next season. And so filling this game in with UNLV football really, I think, shows what I would consider a commitment for both UNLV football and for both Memphis football to be teams that are trying to schedule difficult non-conference schedules and really try and put themselves in a position to be the group of 5 team that makes the college football playoff. Memphis just recently hired Charles Huff to be their head coach in what I believe has been seen as a pretty good hire by most industry professionals. I haven't looked a ton into Charles Huff, but he seems like a solid hire coming from, I can't remember which school he came from. Was it Kent State? It was one of it was like a Sun Belt or a MAC team or a Conference USA team. But really what this game shows is, you know, top teams from group of 5 conferences are going to have to play each other. That's just a fact. The thing about the group of 5 college football playoff spot is it is a lot easier to make an argument that you should be the school that gets that group of 5 playoff spot if you have also beaten other top group of 5 teams from conferences that are not your own. For example, this past season, USF took down Boise State early on in the season. Now, USF ultimately did not get the college football playoff spot in 2025, but they were ranked at a time in that season. And if USF had won out, especially because of that game versus Boise State, it would have been basically impossible for any other group of 5 team to get a college football playoff spot. When you take down other group of 5 schools from other top conferences, not only do you get bragging rights over that specific school like USF had over Boise State, but you also get bragging rights over that entire conference. If USF had won the American and had beaten the Mountain West champ, which was Boise State last year, the Mountain West school, you know, even if it wasn't Boise State, would have had a tough time arguing that they should get in over USF. Likewise for UNLV, especially moving into this new, much weaker Mountain West conference, scheduling a game like this is huge just because it gives you a chance for a marquee win, a head-to-head win over a top team from another conference. And if UNLV wanted to compete for the college football playoff group of 5 spot from schools in the American and in the Pac-12, which are both likely to be superior conferences to the new Mountain West, they were going to have to schedule games like this. It's a winnable game. UNLV plays Memphis in Las Vegas in 2026, and the return trip is not till 2029. Looking ahead at Memphis's schedule, Memphis is really setting themselves up in terms of, in their conference play, they're going to play teams like North Texas. They're going to play teams like Tulane, but they're also going to play at UNLV and at Boise State. Memphis will be in control. If Memphis beats UNLV and beats Boise State, they should be able to beat Arkansas State and UT Martin, no problem. They're going to be in a position, even if they only beat one of those teams, where they're going to have a favorable head-to-head record against top group of 5 teams. Likewise for UNLV, if they can beat, if UNLV can beat Memphis, their other conference games, they also play at North Texas. That's another top American conference and a top American conference team. And so if UNLV can beat North Texas and beat Memphis, UNLV is going to have a really strong case if they finish the season well to get in over any American conference champ. And the American Conference, I believe, is the best group of 6 football conference. That should give UNLV, if they can win the Mountain West and have a very good season, I think at 11-1, even if they slipped up and lost to, say, New Mexico, so long as UNLV won the Mountain West, it really gives them a direct path to the college football playoff next year. Now, is UNLV going to be good enough to make the college football playoff next year? That's tough to say. UNLV's schedule next year is just incredibly gracious. They get Memphis at home, so that's a top group of 5 team at home. They also get Cal at home. That's a very winnable Power 4 team that you're playing at Allegiant Stadium. You don't have to travel to Cal. Their away games are at North Texas, who just lost their head coach to Oklahoma State, and at Akron, which is a very winnable game. Akron's not a world-beating type program. So, frankly, I couldn't be more pleased with how UNLV's schedule is setting up. And I think if you're a Memphis fan, you have to be pleased too. Both of these teams, both of these programs are making the college football playoff very seriously. Both know that if they want to receive a lifeboat, even if it's really unrealistic, if either Memphis or UNLV or both want to get a lifeboat out of the group of 6 and into the power conference ranks, they need to make the college football playoff. And both of these schools have set up their schedules to be so that if they win, they'll control their own destiny. And that's really encouraging. So I cannot wait for that game. It's going to be in Las Vegas this coming summer. I'm sure that there's going to be some Memphis people that I'm going to try and have on the show. Frankly, just could not be happier with that result. So the next thing I want to talk about, kind of the last thing for today's episode, is UNLV football and the transfer portal. And really the question is UNLV football doing enough in the transfer portal? And that's a really good question. Let's pull up UNLV's how they're doing. Let's see this. So let's pull it up here. So UNLV, as of right now, I believe has 6 commits or 7 commits. They have 6 current commits right now, or 5 current commits. There have been more announced than this. But a couple of the names that you've seen, Landon Cleveland, he was a safety from Oklahoma State, a 3-star rated transfer, nice pickup. Tunisi, he's our outgoing player. Sam Wolfton, nice player. Amarian Walker, a Michigan Middle Tennessee player. D. Creighton. Other guys that we've seen are the kid from Baylor, a 6'8" offensive lineman from Baylor. UNLV picked up Herb Gray from Tennessee, a defensive lineman. And obviously UNLV picked up Jackson Arnold from Colton Thomas, and he's the player from Baylor that I was talking about. And obviously UNLV picked up Jackson Arnold from Auburn as a transfer. And really the question that I've seen from a lot of people is UNLV doing enough? And that really depends. UNLV clearly still needs on the interior part of the defensive line. I think UNLV football is doing quite well. But especially when it comes to edge rushers, UNLV football just simply does not have enough talent on the defensive line coming back next season. We're losing Chief Borders. We're losing Tumisi Adele, as we said, and a couple of other guys. And we're obviously losing Marcel McDuffie. One of my favorite players is the kid that we're picking up from Clemson, the linebacker from Clemson. Big fan of him. I think that could be a very good player. He appeared in 30 games at Clemson, D. Creighton. He is a linebacker and is actually a player that played a lot. So, frankly, I think that UNLV is doing enough in the portal, but there's still some room to go. What does UNLV football still require in the transfer portal? 2 main areas that I would say. I I think we're good on the offensive line. UNLV picked up another player from Cal and Pitt on the offensive line recently. I think we're good on the offensive line. With Jet Thomas returning, I think we're good at running back. Obviously, with Jackson Arnold coming and Alex Orji still on the team, I think at the quarterback position, UNLV is okay. In terms of DBs, safeties, UNLV's fine there. We have some good DBs. We could use one more linebacking player, and we could use an edge rusher. Those are really the two biggest things that I see on the defensive side of the football. I think UNLV needs to pick up one more linebacker, somebody with some experience that you can bring in. And then UNLV needs to pick up an edge rushing. I think this might be the most expensive player that UNLV has to go out there and get outside of their quarterback. UNLV needs to spend some money and get an edge rusher, somebody that can put pressure on the quarterback, because the defense just isn't going to work without that. As far as the offense goes, UNLV is still missing another really high-level wideout. UNLV needs another wide receiver. I think UNLV is fine on tight end. We could use a slot receiver, somebody to replace JoJo Earl. And UNLV brings back a couple of nice, talented wide receivers. But the wide receiver position, UNLV needs to spend some money and go out and get a good wide receiver. They need to spend some money for an edge rusher, an edge defensive lineman, a guy who can be versatile. Somebody, Chief Borders was a little disappointing last season on the UNLV defensive line. They need to spend some money and get a defensive lineman. They probably need one more linebacker. And Dan Mullen is clearly trying to go for a more continuity up and down this team. Obviously, we didn't get Anthony Calandria back. We lost guys, like Tunmisi Adele. We lost a couple of really big players. We obviously lost Trey Omire. But ultimately, I like what UNLV is doing in the portal. Is it perfect? No. Could we do more? Absolutely. But I think UNLV is doing fine. Not great, not perfect, but fine. Lastly, I wanted to talk a little bit about UNLV basketball. UNLV obviously had a very nice victory over Boise State. I know Boise State's a struggling team, but that's a program in Boise State that has historically, over the last 10 years, done really well against UNLV basketball. And that win showed me that this team has some fight. And really, UNLV's goal is just try and get as high of a seed as possible for the Mountain West Conference tournament in basketball. Looking at Mountain West standings right now, obviously Utah State is at the top of the league. They look like a juggernaut. They just beat a pretty good Reno team up in Logan, and San Diego State's right behind them. San Diego State's really kind of coming into form after a very nice win in Laramie over Wyoming. New Mexico, though, their only loss is that one loss to Boise on the road, and Reno I would consider the top four teams in the league. Reno, New Mexico, San Diego State, and Utah State. Reno's only losses are to San Diego State and then obviously Utah State. I would consider that to be the top four of the league: Utah State, San Diego State, New Mexico, and Reno. Then there's kind of a middle tier where it's the Grand Canyon, UNLV, Fresno State, and Colorado State and Wyoming tier alongside Boise State. Even though Boise State is 1-5, I still think that they fit in this tier. This middle tier, the top four seeds are the only teams that get buys in the Mountain West tournament, as we added another team in Grand Canyon. And so I think it's really important for, if I really think you want to be in the 6th seed so you can play Air Force or San Jose State in the conference tournament. And it's just going to be interesting to see how the Mountain West basketball turns out this year. But I think Utah State just looks like an absolute juggernaut. San Diego State really rounding into form, really tough team. I don't really see very many teams beating them outside of Utah State and New Mexico. And then Reno and Grand Canyon, really dangerous. They both have a lot of potential to be teams that can beat the top of this Mountain West Conference. Really going to be interested to see how the league plays out. And as for my Runnin' Rebels, they've got a high ceiling, a pretty high ceiling. They can beat almost any team in the conference outside of probably Utah State. I think they could beat San Diego State. I don't think the San Diego State team is perfect, but they could also lose to anybody. You could see UNLV losing to San Jose State. You could see them losing to Air Force, and they play San Jose State on Saturday. So I still don't really believe in Josh Pastner. I still don't really think he's the guy to get UNLV basketball where it needs to be, but I did want to mention them before we ended the show tonight. So guys, let me know your thoughts. What do you think of this UNLV Memphis football matchup? Do you think the Rebels are doing enough in the transfer portal? And do you believe in Josh Pastner as a coach? Let me know your thoughts down below. I appreciate you all, and let's run.